There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide anymore. The gays and transgenders are everywhere. What are we going to do about it? All I want to do is drink my Bud Light. And there are the gays and the transgenders ruining my experience.
Say you're an ally, quick.
I'm playing.
Before you ruin us.
I'm playing. This whole thing with Bud Light, Howard Stern called it baffling the other day. I can't think of another word that's better than that because I feel the exact same way. Baffled by the reaction to Bud Light. Now, if you have not heard about this, Abby will give you some of the details here. And the reaction to me has just been, actually, you know what? If I want to be serious about it, it's been truly, truly sad. Really, really sad that we'll get into in a second.
Yeah, there's so many other things we could be focusing on as a community to actually be outraged about. But instead, here we are talking about Bud Light. So they're caught up in a controversy after partnering with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. If you're on TikTok, you would know her from her day 150 of girlhood, or her days of girlhood, day 150 of being a girl. She's gone viral for so many different reasons. But last week she posted a video that's a part of a sponsored partnership with Bud Light, where she shows viewers a custom Bud Light can with her face on it to help celebrate a year since transitioning, which she's called her first year of girlhood. So Bud Light supporting the queer community is not new. The brand has had pride campaigns for more than 20 years, and they're not the only beer company to publicly show allyship. Actually, a Newsweek analysis said that at least half of the 10 most popular beer companies have LGBTQ partnerships. But critics said the beer brand should, quote unquote, know its audience and demanded that Bud Light cut ties with Mulvaney and stop going woke. Some posted videos of them dumping out cases of the beer, and there's even a hashtag boycott Bud Light hashtag going around.
Wow.
So it's just a lot.
All right, let me play some of the audio from some of these, what I consider to be ridiculous videos that have been going around boycotting Bud Light because of the damn gays and transgenders. All right, this was Kid Rock that started the whole thing off.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
All right, that's just where it starts. So he's got a AK, whatever the heck it is. I don't know about semi-automatic or automatic guns or whatever, but he shoots a bunch of cases of Bud Light.
Wow.
All right, and then you got the randos online also.
Hey, Budweiser, I've been drinking your beer for probably 35 plus years. Not anymore. Y'all screwed up.
No.
Oh, they're really done now.
They're going to go.
Bud Light is going out of business.
Well, I'll tell you in a couple of seconds, it might actually be having an effect. Here's another one.
Want to play the woke game? Well, let's spend my money on it. Peace out. Sam Adams, I'm back at you, buddy.
I mean, there have been hundreds of these. I mean, there are bars. There's a country music star that has a bar in Nashville that took Bud Light out of his bar also. They're all over the place. So you're like, okay, with this news cycle, this thing is going to go away pretty quickly. But I was reading an article this morning that says it might have an effect. We won't know the statistics for another week on what beer sales are. But a lot of experts are saying this thing really does have a lot of legs in middle America, and who knows what is going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. What I found just, it really is so baffling to me. This is the thing that, combined with what Mo said yesterday, about the subtle racism that he felt a couple of times while he was on vacation, that the fact, and this isn't going to change, that there are some people that are going to wake up this morning and when they leave their house are going to be met with hatred. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. They just woke up. They're just living their lives. They're just living their lives as a black man or as transgender or gay, and they leave their house and somebody in their path, either knowingly or not knowingly, is going to hate them. Mm-hmm. It's so sad. And to see it so publicly over the course of the last couple of days, I'm just going to keep using the same word over and over and over again. It's so sad to me, and I don't understand it. What is it hurting Kid Rock? Look, I can't even find the words because it's so confusing to me. This is not affecting my life at all, right? This is not hurting my family at all. It is not hurting my values at all. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe a Kid Rock or those that you just heard from. This is more about a values of America, which I don't even understand either. I got no answer for it except sadness that it's really a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, what values are they even expressing other than the fact that they just have a lot of hatred in their heart for literally no reason?
It's the hatred. It's the hatred that I saw in the boycott. The boycott is and the words that were being used were so much hatred, probably from people that have never even had any kind of contact at all with anybody in the transgender community or gay community. So where does the hatred come from?
It's fear. It's fear of the other. This is what happens when you don't get exposed to other people, other races, other religions, other genders, other sexualities, other lifestyles. You sit in this echo chamber and it becomes a cesspool because you're not exposed to any of it. So then you fear the other because you don't understand it and you're not educated and no one has taught you. And some of that is your fault for not educating yourself. And some of it is just sort of a symptom of the environment. But you can see they're not educated because they're switching to Coors Light, who has their Refreshingly Proud campaign. Sam Adams, which was mentioned, literally released a beer called Love Conquers Ale, all for gay pride. So these companies, if they want, this could be a pivotal moment if all of these liquor companies started pushing their gay pride products and said, like, we stand with Budweiser and came together and shut this kind of talk down. I'm all for using your money to vote in what you believe, but when you use that money for hate, if you're popping off with an AK whatever in your stance against a beer company, you have bigger problems.
Now,
I mean, honestly.
Rebecca here on staff's one of them half gays.
On my mother's side.
So seems to me you got some explaining to do.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to laugh so you don't cry. Because first of all, what's more flamboyant than getting an AK and shooting up a case of Bud Light? Just this idea that there's some sort of like gay agenda turning like the beer queer. Second of all, gays love light, cheap beer. If it can like keep you skinny and it's cheap, they love it. Go to any gay bar and that's what they're drinking. So their target audience is still being hit.
I think from you, what I'm looking for is the same thing that Mo shared the other day is like, just knowing that if you walk into a room of people and they know you're bisexual, there are going to be some that do not like you just based on that.
It's really interesting because I find myself in such a like gay bubble, basically. I live with and love so many people who are queer that I forget that if I walk outside of that bubble, there are people who have never met a queer person, who don't know what that means. The fact that there are people who hate such a tiny fraction of a most vulnerable population in our country and the world, it's frightening to me. I go to gay clubs constantly. Now I'm afraid. I walk in, my favorite lesbian bar, you can't walk in without getting patted down. And that's for our safety. And it's hard to believe that someone could have hatred for people that I know and I love in the trans community who are just trying to be themselves. And I wish people would just understand we're all human. We're all just trying to live our lives. Let's just be happy and drink a beer together.
I just got so many thoughts about it that are just so incredibly confusing to me. You know, we used to live in a time where we didn't even necessarily have to agree, but we're not even, there's no middle ground anymore. I feel like it's either like, if I don't disagree, then I hate you. Like, those that don't understand the lifestyle, they don't understand trans, like you said, have never had any kind of connection with it at all, and you have your own values, okay, so don't agree with it, and then you probably should be thinking, I'll let God sort it out. Right? You're not going to do anything God's not going to do in the end, right? If that's the way you think. So why is the default hate and just not, you know what, that's not for me?
Yeah, hearing that Kid Rock audio was terrifying with the AK-15 because if it's not your values, then just don't buy the beer. Like, why do we need to make it some massive statement, literally spreading hatred?
That's the part I never understood either, is the fuel of hate. Like, why is that your go-to for people who are simply just being themselves? That's it. Like you said, everyone is human. Everyone has the right to live how they want to live. And it's one of the worst feelings in the world to know that anytime you go somewhere, you're going to have to deal with some kind of racism. You're going to have to deal with some kind of discrimination for simply just wanting to go out and get something to eat, for simply just want to go out and get a drink. You're going to have to deal with people who have this hate inside of them that they literally want to kill you for just the way you were born, not for something you did, not for anything of that nature. I try to avoid hating anyone or anything by any means as much as I can. So to go out and look for that kind of hate and be fueled by it, it never made any sense to me.
I don't hate Abby because she doesn't use a washcloth.
I'm a little disappointed.
I just don't agree with her, but I don't hate her. Okay.
I think we also have to, I want to go back to what you said about it used to be where we could just disagree and live our lives. And now it feels like if we disagree, I hate you. That's a very extremist, violent faction that hates. A lot of people do just disagree and they go on and live their lives. A lot of people might say, I don't understand it, but, I accept you, whatever, and live their lives. But there are people who do hate, and they won't admit it, but it's rooted in fear. But we have to remember, those are the visible ones. Those are the ones doing dramatic flair with AK-15s, shooting up beer cases. Not everybody who doesn't understand these lifestyles, is not educated, doesn't hate. Some of them don't care, and some of them will never be interested in learning about it. Fine, do you. Just, I think that we have to draw the line and say we condemn the hate of any living person in the United States or the world who's just trying to live their best, most authentic life as themselves and is not hurting anybody else.
All right, so let me help some of you guys so you don't have to do the research yourself, because I know it probably takes a long time to connect on your dial-up. So here are some of the companies that you're going to have to also avoid. If you're going to avoid Bud Light, there are other companies you're going to have to avoid also. So let me do the research for you here, okay? Rebecca actually did this morning. Other beer companies that have run pro-LGBTQIA and commercials. Now you can't drink Coors Light. Now you can't drink Busch or Corona or Miller Lite or Michelob Ultra. And don't forget, those are owned by companies that have more beers than we even just mentioned right there. This one's really going to hurt you guys. You can't go to Walmart. Walmart is launching a gay pride apparel collection to celebrate and empower the LGBTQ community. Now you can't go to Walmart. You can't drink a Coke anymore because Coke has featured a whole bunch of LGBT people in campaigns and launched the Next Generation LGBTQ Leaders Initiative. I think Coca-Cola also owns Powerade, so can't drink Powerade. Yep. That sucks, man. Do you like chocolate? Because now you can't even eat Hershey's.
Man.
Yeah, they featured a trans woman in their Women's Day campaign. Look, if you love your Xbox, that's gone. Microsoft released a Pride Xbox controller. Can you believe that?
Oh, not the controller.
I can't escape anywhere. You can't fly American Airlines because they've dedicated a rainbow team to implement LGBTQ policies in the workplace, so stay away from there. Hope you don't like coffee, because you can't go to Starbucks. Starbucks started a campaign that celebrates the significant act for some transgender and gender-diverse people as they use their new name in public. I'm not sure if some of you guys are reading, but you can't go to Amazon because Amazon hosts an annual LGBTQ Pride celebration. You can't use any Apple products, so now today you got to throw away your iPhone. Damn, because they're releasing an Apple Watch Pride merch and continues to support LGBTQ organizations. Oh, you can't even Google. You can't even Google. Permanent embeds LGBTQ plus Pride Month notification on your Google Calendar. You can't even Google anything anymore. You can't call Lyft because Lyft allows people to specify their preferred pronouns, and that goes against everything you stand for. You got to trade in your Nikes also because they posted an ad with the same transgender woman, Dylan Mulvaney, featured in the Bud Light partnership. Forget about getting some of your drugs from Pfizer. That's not going to work anymore. Some of you guys were just saying, you know what? I'll just go to Target. You're not even safe at Target.
Oh, no.
Embraces their team members and guests who identify as members of the LGBTQIA plus community. And you're like, you know what? I just got to get out of here and go on vacation. I'm going to go to Walt Disney. You can't do that. You can't go to Walt Disney because Disney World is defying anti-LGBT politicians in Florida by hosting a gay rights summit. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Unfortunately, you just read that list on the air, but they've already boycotted us because we're allies of the gay community and we stand with our trans listeners.
For sure.
That was a waste of time.
Damn.
Good luck with all that hate.
Well, damn.
The Bert Show.
So, first, thanks for watching. Second, you like what you just watched? That just scratches the surface. Get The Bert Show on any podcast platform. We're so good.